There's my dog. Now, I said, what if cancer and growths are like little tiny eggs? And then when finally you have to rebirth yourself, you have to keep that egg warm. You have to foster that egg. You have to take care of that egg and feed that egg. And that egg makes you a better you. Okay, I've been power feeding my dog for a while now. And look how amazing she is. She looks bigger. Like, seriously. She looks bigger. That egg that she is holding on to, that it's her power pack, is the intelligence that's keeping her alive and giving her the programming in this new world. And so she's still a little dopey because she is still a child. She's not eating on her own. She wants her bottle. She even, when I'm at the kitchen counter, she gets next to me as if she wants me to feed her. And I do. She'll chew on bones. She'll swallow it a little bit. But yeah, she's also influenced by these frequencies. But remember how hard it was for her to walk a couple weeks ago? And now she's walking like a predator. Like, she is doing absolutely amazing. And she looks great. She has girth to her. She has weight to her. I can't carry her down the stairs like I did a couple weeks ago. I mean, that's what is so crazy, is that, like, around Thanksgiving or even afterwards, I was carrying her. I actually picked her up and carried her. Now, if I do that, I mean, I could still do it, but I would probably hurt myself. And so my dog is doing great. And I still give her the formula with all the food broken down to a bioavailable state to feed her microbial babies. And again, she's still a little dopey, like a little teenager. She knows her name, but you can see that she's doing great. I mean, I don't know, she has to look bigger. If you think she looks bigger from the last few times, I'm sure you'll see that. Maybe you'll notice it, maybe you don't. What's deceiving is, in the last week or so, since she's been going through this transition, she'll wake up looking skinny, and then as I feed her throughout the day, she bulks up. But this morning, she woke up not very skinny. She woke up like this. And so it's just maintaining and sustaining this trajectory, and that to keep up with the baby's hunger so they don't eat the mama. That's essentially what people need to do when they are dying from cancer or dealing with cancer, is they have to feed, but they have to feed differently. They have to break their food down, and people don't. They basically throw a steak at a baby and say, here, baby, eat a steak. And the baby can't eat a steak, and so they starve, or they eat the parent. And so you have to break the food down. People have to break their food down, especially when they are dealing with cancer disease, chronic illness, and autoimmune disorders. Is that the babies are starving, and they're snacking and torturing the parent until those babies get fed. And so I've been feeding her babies, and look, she is finally becoming, I mean, when you think about it, her fur is so soft, and her fur is so soft. Sugar, it's okay. You can get up there. You can do it again. Her fur is so soft. But, when she makes a mistake, she'll figure out and she'll go back around. But, yeah, when her fur is so soft, it means that things are going right. It's just that we have to now catch up with the baby's hunger. Are you going to go inside? Or what are you doing? You're going to go wind up? And so what she's doing is she winds up. So when she walks around like this, she winds up to get the energy to go upstairs. She winds up to get the energy to go wherever to get up, because it's still she has to bring in the strength. So you want to go inside, sugar? You want to go inside? Okay. But I've been trying to let her do things on her own, provided that it's not going to be dangerous for her. Like when she grappled herself onto the bed last night. The last couple of weeks I've been helping her on the bed, but this time, since she is bigger and she has a little bit more grappling power in her paws, she actually did pull herself up on the bed. And I had the bed low enough, but I don't want her to fall through. Good girl. See? And she did it. And I have to let her do it on her own, though sometimes I want to save her. So anyways, just want you to see. And she just does her thing. All right. So just so you guys know, hold on. Food is everything. And when they say, you need to feed, don't mind my hair, I look awful. You have to feed. You have to eat all food. You cannot starve yourself. You cannot go on the diets. You cannot play the whole GMO versus organic game. You can't afford it, not in this environment, not how crazy these frequencies are. And these frequencies are super crazy. Oh my gosh, my hair is just gross. But you can't afford to eat the same way you did. You have to eat more in this environment because you're using a lot more energy. You don't even know it because you have so many babies inside of you, so many microbial babies, offspring from everywhere you went, and then from the air and the food and the water. And so every time I eat, I have to blow my nose because I've created more babies. I developed more babies. And so you have to blow your nose. You have to pull out the programming. I mean, I right now am doing that with my dog as I'm training her body to release, okay? But I still have to get, she still has to release the old stuff, but her poops are becoming more formulated. So, you got to train yourself, you got to train your body, but I wanted to show you what my dog looked like at around 6 o'clock at night, and she didn't really look that different this morning at 8 a.m. Though I didn't record it this morning, so I was like, let me tell you, these frequencies are so insane that I had to take a nap today, and you feel stiff. Like if I hadn't done the JJ world, if I hadn't released a lot of those demons, if I hadn't gone through every single one of those sicknesses, I would have been seriously sick. I would have seriously been, I couldn't even tell you what I would have probably dealt with. But given what I had experienced the last couple of years, I would say lymphoma. I would say probably some kind of cervical cancer. I would probably say some kind of, lymphoma and cervical cancer. There's the only two things that I know that I dealt with for the most part, because those were the major things that were coming to surface. Like my underarms, the lymph nodes were so full of rashes about a year or so ago. I mean, they were pretty bad. And that's from years of using deodorants. When you're closing up your system, using deodorants so you don't smell. When you're using essential oils and stuff to stop your body from releasing. That's the thing. That's the issue with the essential oils world, with the health and beauty world, is that they close up your system. So you look plasticized. You don't look, you look cute, and that's great. But then your body pays for it when you're trapping all those little beasts inside of you that need to be expressed. And yeah, I have a lot of gas today because the frequencies are insane. It's really rainy outside. I did hear a few sirens today, and I did hear a long hum last night, and even probably a little bit today. Didn't think this morning I heard like a ringing. Okay, so yeah, we're in it now. We're in the thick of it all right now. We're in the thick of it all. We are in climate change. And that looks like everything that you ever read about that you were scared about, or that you're warning people about. I didn't want to say the depopulation agenda because you can't prove it. We're in climate change. And you can take that statement however you want to take it. And with climate change, you have to do things differently with climate change. And it's what's really crazy is people don't. People think that, oh, it's just a few storms. Oh, I just have to do a little detox or do this or do that, and that's it. Or do a few saltwater flushes. No. This is seriously an accelerated environment that you won't know how it's going to affect you until a sudden event. And it could be vital organ failure, or it could be a diagnosable condition, or it could be massive amounts of pain. Now, luckily my husband has been dealing with pain his whole life. His back, his legs, his whatever, have always been hurting. It's hurting more so now, but he can handle it. And he knows how I feel about him taking pain relievers, because that will only make things worse down the road. Luckily, he did a few saltwater flushes way back in 2018. That was 2018, 6 years ago. Oh, Jesus. Or maybe not, 4 years ago. But imagine someone who's never felt pain in their whole life, and they all of a sudden they feel pain, and guess what they do? They go and find something to stop the pain. That's why these kids out there who have never really been sick, who've been given the gift of health in our sight, the gift of being cured, when these frequencies go up and they have their parents' predisposed issues, and you look at how the grandparents passed away, look at how even the aunts and uncles and cousins and brothers and sisters, what they're dealing with, and you realize that's what's lurking inside your body as well as your kid's body. And in climate change, that shit is set to be triggered on some level. And it's not always going to be like, oh, you get the luxury of getting some kind of disease that you can manage and be on a therapy for, and okay, great. No, sometimes it's just all out it's annihilation. That's what these parents and people don't realize when their kids have been gifted a pain-free life for the most part. And that's what Christmas is. Christmas is like saying, here, have everything you want, but then you pay for it. Not just through your credit cards and through paying back your credit cards, but you pay for it in other ways. Because it sets you up to go and get everything you ever wanted, which also means pain-free. It sets you up to never deny yourself. It sets you up to always take the easy way out. And then when you take the easy way out in a different environment, the easy way out is usually rest in peace. You'll be lucky to get a diagnosable condition. Those are the lucky ones that get the diagnosable conditions because they have a chance to redirect. It's the ones that are not lucky that die suddenly. They are the ones that had the gift of everything given to them. Pain-free life, everything they could ever want, great career, the boyfriends and the girlfriends. And so never had to really suffer a day in their life because everyone made sure they never suffered. And so when the climate changed and they never did anything differently because they didn't know they didn't know any better, they didn't get the luxury to get a diagnosable condition, and then they die suddenly. And that's what people are facing. That's the biblical side of it. That's the spiritual side of what's going on right now during this climate change, is that Christmas and the birthdays and Easter and everything, has to do with giving somebody a gift, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all this gift giving to everybody is going to bite you in the ass. You know what my gift is? My gift is pain, because it means you're fucking alive. It means that you have a chance to feed it and make yourself stronger. It's not about healing. Healing is all relative to perspective. Healing is like, could be like, hey, be pain-free and take this pill, powder, supplement, detox, and surgery. That could also be called healing. So I'm not calling, I'm not giving the gift of healing. I'm giving the gift of pain, because that way never to be in this situation again. And that you build yourself up in this environment, because now this environment is giving you a chance to do that. Yes, the gift of pain. It means you're alive. When you're not in pain and you never really have to suffer a day in your life, then eventually, rest in peace, because you've never conditioned yourself to deal with hardship. And so I understand biblically, religiously, what suffering is. Oh no, it's not putting your hands on someone. It's not torturing somebody else. This is where you have to deal with when life takes a left turn. Are you going to fold? Are you going to go take something to stop the pain? Or are you going to sit and face it and deal with it and strategize your way out of it without turning to somebody else or turning to something else to stop the pain? Let me tell you, I feel pain right now in my head. I feel pain in my legs. I'm still feeding my dog. Even though it hurts to bend down and get into the squat position because I have to be that way for her. Okay, I don't have all carpeted floors, and so she slips and slides, so I have to really be the stability for her. And so, yeah, it hurts sometimes, but that's okay. You know, I love my dog, and I also respect her. And that's why I didn't give her anything when she went through her major pain, her stiffness. She went through the same thing I went through back around Thanksgiving. But I wasn't going to stop her pain. I was going to let her release it because she had to. Now I don't see too much. I look in her ears, because her ears used to have all that stuff come out, that stuff that you see like around here that comes out occasionally. I look in her ears, nothing's in her ears. But her ears were on fire around Thanksgiving. They were very red. Okay, she went through a lot of infection and release during the Thanksgiving. That's why she was so stiff and so skinny. Because those babies inside of her were feasting on her. They were finally triggered by the climate change. And you don't know when that's going to happen. That's the thing. You can't predict when shit's going to trigger in your body. And if you already know your predisposed issues, and if you already know what your parents and grandparents have passed away from, imagine that accelerated in this environment where now you'll be closer to your predisposed issues, and it could trigger at any moment. And you may not be lucky enough to get a diagnosable condition. And so she was lucky enough to go through that process. I was lucky enough to see her go through that change. Because when she was going in that tub, and I was like going, what the hell? I mean, I was shocked. You saw that. I recorded it. Where she was climbing into the tub, whereas before she would, that would be like kryptonite to her. She hated water. She hated baths. She hated anything to do with water on her. It was like we were killing her if we even gave her a bath. So I haven't given her a lot of baths over the last, 5 or 4, but I've given her more baths this winter than she's had in her whole life. And she has no issue with water. I can give her a bath now, no issue. Okay? But that's what triggered all was I was lucky enough to see that she had a behavioral change. And then I realized that she was getting skinnier and skinnier, and she wasn't eating. And I realized I had to put everything in a blender, and I had a bottle feed her. And so you can imagine that someone who is cancer, they need to be bottle fed. Cancer disease, chronic illness, not to say bottle fed, but you need to be drinking your meals, drinking your meat, your fish. Now, I'm not saying put all your supplements and put it in a nice fruity tooty drink. No, take the fish and put it in with some milk, with the butter, with the olive oil, with whatever you put on your meals. You put it in a blender and you drink it. Or drink half of it, the other half of it eat as if you would eat as an adult. So you can feed the babies and also satisfy the parental palate. And so right now she's not even eating, I'm not even encouraging her to eat just the pieces of the pedigree that I have. I used to encourage her to eat stuff like this fish stuff that's through the mouth, like feeding her. But that's like even a fight. So the only thing I can do is feed her with a bottle. Hold on. You see, and the bottle looks like this. And I have a bunch of stuff. This is like a little bit here, but I have a bunch already made, and I make it pre-made. And I do this at least twice a day. And I give her about this much, or about a pint a meal. So she gets a cup or a quart a day relative to what's going on. And it has everything in it. And she drinks a bunch of water. But that's the only, and then she has that mass under her that feels like an egg. That's why I said that could cancer be like an egg? Because the mass now is taken on an egg form, and it's under her carriage where she keeps it warm. It's not on the outside, like hanging off on her back. It's not on her legs. It's not anywhere that is like exposed to anything. It's actually under her carriage where she's protecting it and keeping it warm. It's like she's sitting on a fucking egg. It's a trip. Okay? And her fur is so soft. Her skin is so soft. Her face is full and her neck is thicker and her shoulders are strong. And so that's her power pack. And people cut that out of their animals. They cut it out of themselves. And they don't give them a chance. They don't give themselves a chance or the animals a chance to be the infinite sacred geometry. Because we are infinite sacred geometry. We have to understand what the pain is. But the reason why we are going through such an aggressive evolution is because we've cured ourselves. We've taken all the tinctures, the supplements, the pills, the powders, the remedies, all the things that are found in the medical holistic system. And so you stay cured and then you expect to die someday and you're told you only have one life. Everybody dies. I see it on my freaking newsfeed and I have to go and hide that ad because I'm not trying to have them cast spells on my world. But no, you know, we have stopped our ability to keep evolving because we're one grand experiment. Humans have been under one grand experiment. We have been built to nation build. We have been procreated to nation build and to find the best prototypes out there amongst 6.9, 7.9 billion people who are clones. A lot of them are clones. They're just copies of each other. Redundancy, so much redundancy in the population. So yeah, the system can afford to lose many people because there's so much redundancy. Let me tell you, these frequencies aren't happening everywhere. I mean, when Pip and I were talking and Odd and all that, we were talking, we're like, yeah, they're definitely putting the hammer down in the South, in Georgia. They're putting the hammer down here in Ohio, absolutely. Some other places are getting the hammer down, and other places may not feel it. They're like, oh yeah, we're home free, we're going to be safe. Bullshit. We have until 2050 to get things going. This is just the start, okay? This is just the beginning. You can't assume because you don't feel anything that you're not going to have something happen or your kids are not going to experience something. And then people get a false sense of security when they see everything else happen around them. They're like, oh, it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me until it happens to you. And then you're like, holy shit. But by that time, it's too late. Because you took your shit for granted. You took your position for granted. You took your location for granted. You took your lifestyle for granted. And you took your kids for granted. And your kids took you for granted. And that's, right now, the situation. Is that's the judgment day. That's the spiritual side of what's going on. Is that we are in judgment day. That when we take shit for granted and we stop our evolution and we don't earn our place on this earth, then the environment, the government, will have control over your lifespan. And we have given away our control of our lifespan to everyone but ourselves, and this is the price that we're paying. Until now in the JJ world, when we learn how to understand our alimentary canal and open up our system, evolve, eat all food, not be so squeamish, you know, understand that if you want to transition, you have to feed more than you usually feed, and your food has to be broken down in a different way. And no, it's not being a vegetarian or a vegan. It means that you're taking everything that's available to you out there in the open market that's FDA approved, and you put it in a blender, and you don't try to stop the pain with anything unless it's FDA approved and you have a doctor that is giving you that prescription. But then you're going to want to stop all the prescriptions at some point, but I couldn't tell you when. Because you don't want anti-inflammatories. You don't want to have anything other than the ability to eat food. Blended half a pizza tonight. I bet that was interesting. You know, this is one of the things where I'm giving people advice. I'm telling them what I'm doing. I guess I could be giving people advice. Yeah, on some level I am. But I haven't blended my food. But I'm doing it for my dog. Okay, so this is probably the only time where I'm going to give some kind of first person scenario, first person, I guess I can call it advice. Suggestion that I haven't done. And I don't really need to because I already know how to do shit. But I'm trying to save my dog. Okay. As you know, they do experiments on animals. in the lab in biotech, because that's how they're able to then project the scenarios in a human, because animals and humans are not that different. So when I can save my dog through bioavailable food that's broken down, and I'm not actively trying to take out her power pack, and she's becoming stronger and stronger, she's actually growing with her power pack, and her power pack is growing with her, then you can imagine you as a human who is aging, degrading with cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and maybe you have the time to change and feel pain and all this other shit. Maybe you might have a chance. And maybe you might redirect your kids' trajectory, but maybe sometimes the kids, they're too far gone because they're already assimilated to the old world, and they don't realize anything's changed because mom and dad hasn't changed. Mom and dad is still thinking everything is great. Yeah, go ahead, do this, do that, whatever. Everything's great till it's not. And that's what happened to me this Thanksgiving. I did not anticipate having to save my dog. I did not. So that's what I'm saying. Things can happen out of nowhere, and you gotta be prepared for the unexpected, which means that maybe it's better to preempt it, so that way you're not waiting for Mother Nature to do it, and maybe when Mother Nature does it, you won't have a chance to redirect because you'll be dead, or somebody will be dead. That's the thing when you wait for Mother Nature to say your time's up. No. I allowed my dog to go through all of those seizures. Okay? And I fed her everything, because when she wasn't eating her own food, I was feeding her my food. If I hadn't fed her my food and just left her to eat her own food, she would probably be dead by now already. But the fact that I was giving her pizzas and steak and eggs and whatever else I had on hand, the last couple years, was probably what saved her and gave her enough of the substance for her to handle Thanksgiving. That's probably what saved her, was the people food, was what saved her. Because she wasn't eating. I remember I was changing her food almost every single week. You saw that. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to feed her this. I'm going to feed her that. I had the big log of food. I had the other food. I had this food, that food. I mean, I couldn't figure out what food would be the best. And so then, okay, then I'll just feed you people food. If you're not going to eat your food, sugar, then I'm going to feed you people food. And that's what saved her and gave her enough of the substance for her to go through that process. And then it was breaking the food down. Like taking this. Oh, see, bending down is painful right now. Like taking this. I was trying to hand feed her the chunks of this stuff. The high protein pedigree. But now I just dump it in a blender. And with milk, and then with Gerber, right? And then I bought this by mistake from Amazon, which is Rachel Ray's crap. Dump that in the blender. And with vegetables and some fruit and what is it, cabbage, which really gave her some gas yesterday. That's why she was a little whiny. And then she burped. And that's what saved her. And then, of course, yeah, the fish. Okay? And so that's what saved her. And I brush her teeth with this stuff. Okay? And so yeah, food is going to save you. Food, all food, not this vegan, vegetarian, non-GMO bullshit. I'm telling you, gluten-free shit. No, all food is going to save a person. And yeah, if you're really skinny, you got to gain weight. If you're super skinny in this world now, I don't care if they're laying off the frequencies, and then you might not get them until like 2024. Because it could happen that way, where everything is done through a system. And it's a list of when they do stuff, a scheduled type of frequency shift. We're going to do a frequency shift over here and see what kind of things going to happen here and over here and over here. And you never know when the angel of death is going to pass over your house. That's really what we're in. We're in Passover. We are literally in Passover. You never know when the angel of death passes over, and you have to preempt shit. You have to set your body up to prepare for the frequency change, because we're already in climate change. How aggressive it's going to be in your world, you will not know when until it happens, and you hope you survive it. But at least you know you'll survive it when you preempt stuff and you bring it up and you change the way you do things. But people won't do. People don't think that way. They're like, I won't do anything until something's drastically wrong. But when you think that way, you won't survive the climate change. You won't survive it. I'm just lucky that my husband has a high tolerance for pain, and he's a type O. I'm lucky that I'm a type O. I have a high tolerance for pain. I'm glad that my dog is raised by us, because if she was in anyone else's hands, they would have killed her already. They would have destroyed her. Oh, I know my dog would not survive any other household out there, because they wouldn't know what to do with her. They wouldn't have the background. Or they would go take her to the vet and put her on drugs, and then she would pass away as soon as her body was cannibalized by the microbial babies from the drugs. So, anyways, I'm going to go, because I feel just like, it's crazy. All right, you guys, good luck. I don't mean to be so morbid, but we are in a very morbid time. Just Google died suddenly, and that should give you every reason. That should justify why I have to talk this way, because you're looking all over the internet and all over Facebook, and you're seeing the died suddenlies. And do you really want your kids to be in that situation? Do you want to be in that situation? Or do you want your animal to be in that situation? I don't know. You make that choice. Bye.